Dr. Geller is a certified cat behavior and retention specialist. She's also a certified humane education specialist through the Academy of Prosocial Learning and a certified pet chaplain through the Association of Veterinary Pastoral Education. She's also fear-free certified. She provides cat behavior help both locally and throughout the country to her clients, who include cat owners, shelters, rescues, and animal welfare organizations. Rachel serves and has served on many cat-related boards and advisory boards. Rachel has given or participated in presentations for the Humane Society of the United States, the Massachusetts Animal Coalition, and the New England Federation of Humane Society on topics involving cat behavior and retention programs and surrender prevention. Rachel's cat behavior and retention program has been recognized by HSUS as a model program. Rachel's book, Saving the World One Cat at a Time, was written to help with resolving cats' behavioral and emotional problems with the goal of creating harmonious relationships between cats and their owners. All of the proceeds from the book goes to selected cat shelters. And I will say for up until this conference, the proceeds from the sales of her book over the last week or so, couple of weeks or so, will be going to help support the Community Cats Grants Program. Rachel was a behavioral specialist for grades K through 8 in Waltham, Massachusetts public schools for over 20 years. She's lived in Newton since 1992 with her husband and 2 cats, an avid runner. She has run and finished 11 Boston marathons, and I also know her to be an incredible fan of the Red Sox. Now, just to give everybody a little heads up, Rachel's had a bit of laryngitis this week, so she's going to start. And if for some reason her voice runs out, she has her husband in the background, so you may hear 2 voices during this presentation. So just don't be surprised if it switches over to a male voice. That would be her husband just taking over and helping her out. So thank you again, Rachel, for pulling through and joining us today. And just, we will listen, just talk lightly and softly, and it'll all be fine.
So my career as a cat behaviorist has been all about helping the cat owner rediscover that bond, that amazing connection that we have with our cats. I have become keenly aware that this bond sometimes breaks, often due to behavior problems, landing cats in shelters where they hope for new homes. The good news is that we are making tremendous leaps forward in keeping cats with behavior problems in their homes. I used to wonder if these human-cat relationships can be saved. I have learned that they can. We can keep the bond intact, and we can help cat owners to get over this bump on their long road together with their cats. Cat ownership can be a little like a marriage. It's designed to be a lifelong commitment, but sometimes unforeseen problems can make the best plans go awry. Sometimes intervention is necessary to save the relationship. So today, I want to empower you guys to be that intervention that keeps cats and people together. Today, we are going to focus on those cats who are the unwanted, the misunderstood, the less than perfect, and see how we can change the way cat owners see their cats when there is a behavior problem. We will learn how to meet cat owners where they are at and help them feel hope and understanding how far they can go. I'd like to start off with some testimonials. We are so fortunate to be able to learn from this behavior, learn from this program, and then to work with Rachel to set up a cat behavior and retention program. She taught us to never give up, and she showed us how to truly work through the toughest situations. Her help in setting up a cat behavior and retention program has changed our rescue for the better. We wouldn't have so many successes without her help in getting us going. Her expertise and dedication in sharing how to set up a program like this is truly changing cats' lives for the better. And that's from Puppy Kitty, New York City. Now for the next testimonial. My name is Yola. I've been volunteering at a cat shelter in Milan for 12 years, and the presentation by Dr. Rachel Geller during the 2021 Online Behavior Day last April did open a window in my mind. I realized the importance of preventing behavior problems to keep cats in their homes, and I appreciated the role we play or should play at the shelter. Not judges, but allies. Adopters are hungry for advice, support, and information. Dr. Geller's presentation and her book were also key to stress the role savvy communications play in the relationship between shelter staff and adopters. In these 8 months, I had the opportunity to witness that most of the adopters know very little about cats, but would love to learn more. How grateful they are for not being left alone, and the importance of explaining to them not only what and how to do it, but why. I would add a few words to the title of Dr. Geller's inspiring book, Saving the World One Cat at a Time, offering the owners our knowledge and time. Grazie mille. Thank you so much on behalf of many Italian cats. Welcome to setting up a cat behavior and retention program. Now what? What can shelters do to increase cat retention? More adopters are learning that cat behavior problems are fixable and solvable, and more shelters are offering cat behavior services right alongside dog training and dog behavior. Cat behavior and retention programs are growing. The support and education provided through cat behavior programs empowers cat owners and builds positive, ongoing relationships with the community at large. Too many cats are surrendered for behavior issues, especially litter box related, and this is preventable. Having a cat behavior and retention program is a small investment in terms of keeping as many cats in their homes and out of shelters as possible. But when you set up a cat behavior and retention program, get ready, because you are going to be receiving calls and emails from new adopters, previous adopters who are now having cat behavior problems, cat owners in the community, referrals to your program, and so forth. So it's important to have a system of acknowledging everyone and giving them a timetable for when they can expect a reply. Some organizations have a menu system on their phone. If you do, then you can have this be a menu option. For free cat behavior counseling, press 5. If you have a dedicated person who is going to help with cat behavior, the call can be forwarded directly to that person. If you are using email, you can have an automatic reply letting the client know the email was received and the window in which to expect a response. However you do it, always make your timetable clear. Now, these are what I suggest for my steps in doing this work. Start with a consultation, and I would suggest leaving about 45 minutes to 1 hour. During this time, you want to get the history, and you want to get enough information so that you can begin analyzing patterns of behavior. You are going to be asking a lot of questions. Videos, FaceTime, Skype, Zoom, Google Meet, all can be helpful. Then you will develop a plan of action. Explain and demonstrate behavior modification techniques and training. Suggest environmental changes as necessary. And providing this in writing is very helpful. Follow-up is an important part of cat behavior counseling. It allows us to change or fine-tune plans based on what the cat owner reports is the cat's response. By doing this, we can intervene before the cat owner is frustrated, and this also encourages continued work on problematic behavior. Be supportive, encouraging, and note the progress that has been made. When conveying cat behavior information, written communication serves better than verbal communication. Having that written document, the cat owner can read it repeatedly until he or she understands the entire plan of action. Even if I go over it on the phone, I always follow up with an email. Now, some people do not have email, and I've even sent printed material via the regular mail. Written communication is preferable because this way the cat owner has it for future reference. I also don't have to rely on the cat owner's memory or note-taking abilities. After doing this for a while, you will notice that you get a lot of the same problem over and over. What you can do is have standardized templates that can then be individualized as needed. You don't need to keep reinventing the wheel. Having a standardized template can be helpful, especially if you have a few volunteers helping with cat behavior. I find that I have standard questions that I ask depending on the problem, and having standardized templates allows almost anyone to get the process started. Also, these templates guarantee that cat behavior help will be effective for every cat owner who inquires by minimizing the chances that crucial details and the fact-finding may be overlooked. For example, if you have a template for litter box problems or cat introductions, you can use that to reduce the chances that someone will omit crucial questions to ask or information to gather in the process. Perhaps you have a small rescue with volunteers working in remote locations, or there are times they're the only ones at the shelter. When behavior problems arise, volunteers may be left to their own devices to resolve the problem. This may or may not address the problem, and may be to varying degrees of success. Equipping volunteers with templates can help standardize the process and solutions so that they can at least start providing the cat owner with some basic advice. When it comes to your volunteers, obviously not all of them are going to be cat behavior experts, but you can help them know when and to whom to elevate an adopter's concerns, or even a visitor's comment to the right person. By knowing what to look for and listen for, that could be enough to prevent a surrender. The best way to prevent cat surrenders due to behavior problems is to reach out to those cat owners before they reach a crisis point. Volunteers should know who to bring their concerns to while feeling safe and maintaining confidentiality if necessary. I always make sure to get the cat's name and use it often in conversation and in emails. A great way to convey that feeling of caring and connection is to consistently use the cat's name in the conversation and in writing. It makes your words feel more personal and is interpreted by the cat owner as being empathetic. Naturally using the cat's name helps to build strong bonds between you and the cat owner. What I have learned from doing this is most people want to keep their cats. It's just that they don't think these behaviors can be fixed. Empathy is important. Call when you say you will call. Email when you say you will email. Listening and reassurance helps. A simple statement like, "I can tell you really love your cat," can create trust. Pick up on what the cat owners are saying and let that be your guide. The goal of cat behavior and retention programs is to keep companion cats in their homes. In order to do this, you need to be able to ask the appropriate questions of the cat owner to obtain the most insightful information. Listen accurately, demonstrate empathy, repeat back what you heard, and then compassionately work with the cat owner. It's important to listen for a number of reasons. You do want to get accurate information, and each case is unique. Listening also helps the client fully express herself, tell her whole story, talk about her feelings, and calm down. That cat owner needs to get it all out. Don't cut the cat owner off. This helps the cat owner to be able to work with you. Let the cat owner talk and continually acknowledge his feelings. Spend a lot of time listening and relating to the client. Use statements like, "I understand," and "I get it." Repeat back to them what they're saying to you. You want that cat owner to know that we care. Try to understand the state of mind of the cat owner. Realize the cat owners are coming to you as a last straw. By the time they are calling you, they are frustrated. They are at the end of their rope. They may feel alone and not understand why their cat is acting out. And they most likely have tried many things on their own. Some of them may have been struggling with these unwanted behaviors for a long time and are ready to give up. They may have lost hope that their cat is capable of becoming a loved and well-behaved family member. The cat owner may have forgotten what it is they loved about their cat in the first place. All the great advice in the world won't matter if we don't understand the mindset of the cat owner. We want to be practical when we are counseling cat owners. We need to remember that not all cat owners have the money, time, or patience to follow every suggestion or intervention. When we gather information about the cat, we need to also gather information about the cat owner. We need to know how much money, time, and patience the cat owner is willing to invest, so we match our suggestions to the reality of the client situation. We need to work within the cat owner's constraints and capabilities. Follow-up calls are important, and depending on the issue and what was discussed, plan for 5 to 7 days after the original conversation. This allows you to be there for the cat owner to get updates, learn about any problems, and to continue to provide support and empathy. The cat owner may need ongoing support and handholding if the problem is continuing and not being resolved as quickly as was hoped. Some cat behavior problems may take weeks or months to resolve, especially if they were going on for a long time and the client did not call you until things had gotten completely out of control. Long-standing litter box issues or intercat aggression are examples of problems that won't be solved overnight. The client needs to know that you will be there to provide ongoing help and emotional support throughout this process. For some problems, 3 months is not atypical, so let the client know this to avoid discouragement. It takes time. Be upfront about this. Be sure to provide frequent check-ins, feedback, encouragement, and reassurance. Emotional support is often critical for this to work. There are concerns that are specific to new and especially first-time adopters. With new and first-time adopters, I recommend calling soon after the adoption. 2 to 3 days is ideal. This is because the new adopters have not yet formed a bond with the cat. So if there are problems, frustration, or their patience is being taxed, they might decide to return the cat. It won't feel like a big deal to a new adopter with no attachment. So you want to get right in there before any problems start to feel out of control and overwhelming. Now, if this is a person's first time ever having a cat, the need is even greater. Having a cat behavior and retention program at your organization can be a whole new perspective for many shelters and rescues. Before we focused on things like, should we bring this peeing cat in? Are we full? Will a cat like this be adopted? Do I have the volunteers who could work with this cat? Do I have space? Do I have enough foster homes? Cat behavior and retention focuses on keeping cats with behavior problems in their homes. This strategy helps reduce intake so we can focus on the cats who are homeless and truly need shelter and rescue. And this really also helps to build positive connections within our communities. Here's what used to happen. A cat owner calls a shelter and says, I want to surrender my cat. She's peeing all over the place. She pees on my laundry, in my shoes, and she has ruined my couch. She won't use the litter box. The person who received the call, probably already has a full shelter. And if not, the person is thinking, I'm not going to be able to adopt this cat out. Nobody wants to adopt a cat that pees out of the litter box. So the response typically is, we are full and don't have any room right now, but here is a list of other shelters and rescues you can try, or we can put you on our waiting list. But with a cat behavior and retention program, you can say, I'm sorry to hear that your cat is peeing all over your home. That sounds very frustrating, and I know how smelly cat pee is. I'm really glad that you called this shelter because we can provide you with free cat behavior counseling. Did you know that litter box problems are usually fixable? Well, we can work with you completely free of charge to resolve the problem so that you can keep your cat. I can't emphasize enough how important it is to be non-judgmental and empathetic. You know, none of us wants to be judged, especially by people who don't even know the full story of what has been going on in our lives. But the truth is, we find ourselves judging cat owners based on a few sentences when they are in crisis and without knowing anything about the full story and their personal situation. When cat owners call us to surrender their cats, we want to be their ally. So it's crucial that we listen, remain compassionate, and avoid making judgments. Now, we are coming to our first poll question. So Stacy, you can go ahead and launch that first poll question.
What is the reason given for surrendering a cat that upsets you the most? New boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, or partner, moving, got a puppy, cat doesn't like the puppy, but so they'd rather keep the puppy. Got a kitten, cat doesn't like the kitten, but they want to keep the kitten. And sorry, I had to edit the responses because I only had so many characters, Rachel, so I had to edit down just a little bit. So 27% say my boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, or partner. And then 41% are moving, 8% puppy, and 25% cat or kitten. So moving is a hot button for sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. Thanks you guys. So when someone calls to surrender a cat, it's important to remember that they are calling for help. They do want a safe placement for the cat. The caller's not abandoning the cat or leaving the cat outside somewhere. So you know, at the very least, that the caller does have feelings and concern for her cat, and she doesn't want the cat to be harmed. And she wants to surrender the cat to a place where the cat will be cared for, safe, and rehomed. So let's go back to this caller who says, I want to surrender my cat. She's peeing all over the place. She pees on my laundry, in my shoes, and she has ruined my couch. She won't use the litter box. Now, this is a call I actually received. Through comprehensive questions and empathy and understanding, I found out the backstory. Linda had her cat for 7 years. The cat, Peanut Butter, always had a litter box problem. It was intermittent. Sometimes he used the box, but he also went on laundry piles or the couch. Now to Linda, this was not a big deal, and she didn't know there was a solution, and she just learned to live with it. She assumed this is how things were. Linda lived alone, and the items in her apartment were either all secondhand or given to her, so she didn't see this as ruining any expensive things. Linda had a small apartment, so she didn't entertain a lot, meaning there were not a lot of guests in her apartment. She didn't get any negative feedback on the smell from others. She left her cat, and she did not let a little pee get in the way of a beautiful relationship. Then, last year, Linda met a guy. They got engaged, decided to live together in his parents' home to save money to buy their own place together. His parents had a home with an in-law apartment. His parents also bought Linda and her fiance some new furniture. Well, Peanut Butter did what he always did. Used the litter box and occasionally used the couch. But now it was a huge problem. The fiance did not like living in an apartment that smelled like pee. His parents were upset. To the parents, this was a hygiene issue. And they kept saying to Linda, well, what are you going to do when you have a baby? A baby can't live in this pee. The new furniture that was given to them as presents now had pee stains, and Linda could not get the smell completely out. The fiancé did not want Peanut Butter to stay unless he used the litter box. In general, the parents were horrified. The fiancé told her to put the litter box in the closet so Peanut Butter would have privacy. That did not work. Then he said to use a squirt bottle on Peanut Butter. He was on the couch. That didn't work either. The parents felt that she should just get rid of Peanut Butter because to them, this was a cleanliness and hygiene issue. They were really appalled. Linda was getting bombarded and was feeling stressed and overwhelmed. She said to me that the lack of understanding from her future in-laws resulted in feelings of isolation for her in what was supposed to be her home. And her friends didn't seem to understand. Another thing she said to me was, I think the biggest thing is people who don't understand how severe a cat's behavior problems can be. They just do not understand the stress, the money involved, the restrictions, and so forth. And it's hard to explain to someone who has no idea what you are dealing with or what your cat is dealing with. Now, I do find that cat owners may unwittingly seek assistance from individuals that lack the necessary skill and knowledge to effectively help. They may seek help from Google searches that use outdated or ineffective methods, and this causes more harm. They may receive lots of advice from friends or family that may or may not be very helpful. But remember, the call I got only said that the cat was peeing everywhere and that the owner wanted to surrender. So imagine if I did not approach this with empathy and understanding. It would have been really easy for me to assume the worst about the cat owner. We get these calls all the time, and honestly, we do tend to get judgy. I might have thought that she had no bond or connection to her cat, but she had Peanut Butter for 7 years and lived in a smelly pee environment just because she loved him. I might have assumed that she's just passing off her cat pee problems onto a shelter, but she was under a lot of pressure from people she loved. I might have assumed she was willing to quickly dump her cat for her boyfriend, but she was getting multi-layered pushback around her cat all over the place. So the truth is often very different from what we assume. Most cat owners surrender their cats when they are in crisis and feel like there is no other solution. They are probably feeling helpless. Many times, this is not an easy decision for someone to make. Cat owners caring for cats with behavioral problems are often affected in ways similar to people caring for human family members with mental illness or chronically ill family members. I found that they really do experience a similar caregiver burden. So let me say that giving hope is so important. Cat owners typically reach out to shelters and rescues when they are at their wits' end. And that's what happened in this case. This behavior issue had been happening for years. Then Linda got faulty and insufficient advice. Then she was told she had to get rid of the cat to be a good mother in the future and to be respectful of her new living space. At this point, she was feeling demoralized and that the situation was hopeless. In a cat behavior and retention program, we want to share optimism that the situation can be resolved. Litter box problems are almost always fixable. We can start making changes right away. There is some good news in all of this. He does use the litter box sometimes, so I am optimistic that we can solve this problem. Be sure to look for the good points and those silver linings. In a cat behavior and retention program, we also want to be on the side of the cat owner. I can tell you love your cat, and you have taken such good care of him. It's wonderful that you've had him for 7 years and given him such a great home. Clearly, you must love him a lot. I don't think you need to give him up. Let's work together to try to resolve this problem. Think about how important that first call is that comes in, that you answer, how important it is to this cat's life. So when a call comes in, we want to focus on the other person, not yourself. Help the person feel heard. Create a connection. Acknowledge the other person's point of view and learn more by asking clarifying questions. We don't want to give advice yet. Increase understanding and dialogue. Utilizing empathetic responses leads to a better connection, emotional de-escalation, and a safe space for the cat owner to express her feelings. That first contact the cat owner makes with you is a make or break moment. So let's look at how we respond. Here's scenario number 1. A cat owner who wants to surrender calls the shelter about her cat's meowing at night. The owner is worried about the cat's health because she thinks the cat is in pain, and that is why she's meowing. The owner is also worried about her ability to sleep, and she sounds shaken. So an ineffective response might be something like, "I'm sure it's not as bad as you say," or "You sure you're not making too big of a deal about this?" This is ineffective because minimizing the problem leads the cat owner to feel more hopeless and not listened to. Don't diminish the cat owner's experience. Don't say things that will make the cat owner feel like you have little regard for her distress and anxiousness. An empathetic response would be, "This sounds pretty stressful for you. I know we all need a good night's sleep. I can tell how much you love your cat because you sound concerned." In scenario number 2, the cat owner wants to surrender his cat because the cat is biting and scratching him. An ineffective response would be, "I've had biting cats in the past. It's really not a big deal." Or, "Hey, if he's not drawing blood, you can learn to live with it." This is ineffective because the cat owner isn't interested at this point in you identifying with him because you've had a similar experience, or taking it too lightly or making a joke. So an empathetic response would be, "I'm sorry this is happening. I am sure this wasn't what you expected when you adopted a cat." So let's go back to Linda, Peanut Butter, and his litter box. She had lost all hope that her fiance and future in-laws would accept Peanut Butter, and they all had their own theories on Peanut Butter's behavior. With Linda, I explained to her that cats don't pee or poop outside their litter box to purposely annoy you. They don't poop or pee outside the box out of spite, revenge, or to teach us a lesson. Punishment won't stop or correct the behavior. Punishment only increases the stress, both for the owner and the cat, and makes it harder to identify the real cause. Cats are clean and fastidious creatures. Cats want to use their litter boxes. If she isn't using the box, it's because in the cat's mind, there is something, someone, some situation, or another cat, animal, or person in the household that is stopping her from using that box. I know it is easy to assign human qualities to our cats because, they really do share so many of our emotions, but spite, revenge, and deliberate misbehavior to annoy us are not qualities that cats have. With Linda, I highlighted the fact that cats don't misbehave on purpose. It's important for cat owners to understand that cats don't think in terms of right and wrong like we do. Cats think in terms of fulfilling their needs. A cat doesn't use a litter box because it's the morally correct thing to do. If she's using the litter box, it's because it contains the litter that best meets her needs, and the box is in a location where she feels safe using that box. If the cat is peeing or pooping elsewhere in the home, That cat is not in any way understanding that her actions are wrong. That cat is simply responding to her environment and choosing somewhere else to go that best meets her needs. So, what many cat owners perceive as misbehavior is, in fact, a cat's response to his environment. So we have to think like a cat and solve the problem from a cat's perspective. Because when he's not using the box and going somewhere else, in that cat's mind, this is all making perfect sense. I asked Linda a lot of questions and found out that there were many little changes we could make that would make a big difference to Peanut Butter. Currently, his box was in a closet at the fiance's suggestion, which completely blocked the cat's visual field. And he needs that to be ready for opponents or invaders. Before that, his litter box was behind a couch, in a corner, pushed against the two walls that made the corner. And this also blocked his visual field. I told her to move the box out of the cabinet and away from the walls and corner, and to be sure there was not a piece of furniture blocking his view. I also instructed her to add a second box to provide Peanut Butter with choices. There were other very easy interventions that I talked about with Linda. Now, I knew that there were more things we could do that would be helpful, but I started off with the easy ones first. I didn't want her to become overwhelmed, as she was already at her tipping point. Eventually, we added interactive play sessions to Peanut Butter's day to boost confidence and to make positive associations. And I even taught the fiance how to do these play sessions with Peanut Butter as well. This helped the fiance have fun and bond with Peanut Butter and reduced everyone's stress. Little by little, things improved. This was a happy ending for all involved. Peanut Butter began using the litter box. And here is where I want to point out the nuanced difference between the person hiring a cat behavior counselor to help with an unwanted behavior and the person who's calling a shelter to surrender their cat because of a behavior problem. This person has reached the tipping point, the end of the line. So I am not going to offer 7 different interventions to implement and 5 different techniques for the owner to do and 3 items to buy after that first call. I'm going to think, what small steps can we put in place right away that are easy and will show things are going in the right direction? A good analogy is the triage system in an emergency room. Now, I realize the people who call cat behaviorists may also be on the brink and have thought about surrendering their cat. But the cat owner who calls a cat behaviorist still has, that hope. She still has hope. She still thinks it's a shred of possibility. It may be a last-ditch effort, but that particular cat owner still is willing to make that effort to keep the cat. But your callers to your shelter or rescues, have already begun that process to surrender, and they have already given up. So now, Stacy, it's time to launch the second poll question.
What is the most common behavior problem that you see that leads to a surrender? Not using the litter box, scratching the rugs, furniture, biting, or too vocal. We'll give folks about another 30 seconds to respond, and then I will close the poll and share the results. 75% not using the litter box, 17% scratching the rugs, furniture, 8% biting, 0 too vocal.
Okay, I would say in my practice, litter box problems are definitely the #1 reason that I get for surrender. So thanks, guys. Let's revisit the fiance's squirt bottle suggestion. Here's the problem with spraying a cat with water. The only thing the cat learns is that when he sees the water bottle, it's time to run. Run whenever you see this bottle is not an effective way to get a cat to use the litter box. A squirt bottle is a punishment, and punishments do not work with litter box problems. When a cat does not use a litter box, it's that cat's natural response to a problem with some aspect of the box. A cat wants to use the box. So if he isn't, it's because something is making this difficult or stressful for him. And that problem is not going to go away if you spray your cat with water. Squirt bottles do teach a cat to fear you, or humans in general, and they break a cat's trust with people. While litter box issues can be frustrating, it is important not to punish a cat with a squirt bottle. Doing so will only make a cat even more afraid of using the litter box. And if the underlying problem is some type of fear, anxiety, or stress, this is only going to make things worse. So let's run through some other real-life calls from cat owners looking to surrender a cat who's having litter box problems, and what I found out was really going on. I'd like to spend some time focusing on litter box problems because that is the #1 call that I get, and you guys just confirmed that that's the #1 call you get as well. I'm going to focus on certain calls that I received, also due to the words people chose to describe their cats and how they interpreted their cat's behavior, because I think that will be helpful as well. I received a call where the owner said that her cat was spoiled and unappreciative of her care. The owner described how she put together the most beautiful and expensive litter box setup for her cat. She had a fancy automatic litter box, which was in the cat's own special cabinet to give the cat privacy and quiet. But her cat was unappreciative and was a spoiled little monster who irritated her on purpose by peeing in other places. The owner did not understand why the cat would not use this beautiful litter box setup. The reality is, many cats are afraid of automatic litter boxes. Many times the noise and movement scares the cat, especially if she was not completely finished and hadn't left the box yet. Or the cat was just out of the box but was still standing next to the box. On top of that, this cat owner had the litter box in a cabinet, which fully blocked the cat's sight lines and visual field. The cabinet enclosed the litter box, so there was no warning time or lead time for the cat to escape. This is scary for a cat. Cats want to be able to see any possible invaders or opponents. The worst thing about this setup was if the cat did feel like she needed to escape, there was only one way out, and this was right into the invader's face. Another call that I got, the caller stated that my cat is jealous of my new baby, so she is not using the litter box on purpose to get my attention. The reality is, the cat is probably scared and stressed. Sure, the cat owner knew this baby was coming for about 9 months, but from her cat's point of view, out of nowhere, there was this whole new, noisy, smelling being that just sort of popped into her life. And in one day, her world was turned completely upside down. Cats do not like abrupt changes, and the addition of a new baby certainly involves many changes. The baby has unfamiliar sounds and smells, and all of that wailing and crying can be scary for a cat. When you think about it, parents sometimes get stressed out when they hear that crying as well, and your cat picks up on that. Cats love consistency, routine, and predictability. Now, all of a sudden, that poor cat's normal routine has been completely thrown out the window. Many cats get stressed if you buy just one new piece of furniture. So think about all of the stuff and paraphernalia you now have for the baby. In addition, there's probably all kinds of, visits from family and friends to see the new baby. Now your poor cat never knows what's going to happen, when things are going to happen. Everything feels haphazard. Stress and fear can absolutely lead to litter box aversion. In another call I received, the cat owner said, "My cat is a brat and has a need to feel dominant over my other cat. So he purposely pees next to the box as a message." The reality is that the relationships between companion cats can affect litter box use. Cats feel vulnerable in the litter box, so tensions between cats can cause litter box aversion. It's possible that this caller had a covered litter box or a high-sided box, or the box was in some location that does not provide a clear visual field, such as a closet or in a corner. Cats will do whatever is necessary to avoid being trapped in a litter box by a companion cat they just don't feel safe around. Stress, whether it's from some minoring posturing or intimidation or bickering, or all-out fur-flying major altercations, is all it takes for cats to seek out a safe place to go where they won't be cornered or ambushed. Stressed cats look for locations that have good views and allow for easy escape. Note the descriptions and words used by the cat owners. When we assign human characteristics to cats, we are deciding what is worthy of our time and care. This can be problematic when cat owners then use these descriptions to think cats are deserving of punishments or they are bad cats. When we assign human qualities to cats, we anthropomorphize. It's good to have basic understanding of this when working with cat owners who are experiencing cat behavior problems with their cats. Human brains are tuned to try to understand other humans' intentions, thoughts, and feelings. And I find that we, and the cat owners we work with, often do the same with our cats. Anthropomorphism can place unrealistic and unfair expectations on cats. When anthropomorphism is directed towards cats with behavior problems, it gives humans an unrealistic model for those cats to live up to. Expecting a cat to live up to the standards of human traits can cause a wide array of problems, starting with a misunderstanding of what is really going on. Don't assume that the cat owner's description of the cat is accurate. Many times owners misunderstand and misread cats' behaviors. Because of this, we should not always assume that a cat owner's assessment of the cat's behavior is correct. And we definitely should not reinforce the potentially inaccurate and maybe even hurtful to the cat description by using the same language. For example, if the cat owner says, "My cat keeps attacking me, so he's an aggressive cat," use neutral language such as, "Can you tell me what the cat is actually doing when you observe this?" When cat owners use words like brat, spiteful, unappreciative, don't repeat these words back. We do not want to reinforce this language. I often get calls saying that a cat is aggressive or attacking or mean. More times than not, it turns out to be a sure sign that the cat is bored. If the person has more than one cat or a dog, the cat in question may be attempting to pick fights with her other animal companions, but she can't find anything else to do. Often, if a cat is looking for something to do, she may instigate play instead of a fight. If there are no other pets, the cat may choose to attack her owner's ankle or hide behind a wall and leap out at the owner as he passes by. These behaviors are typically labeled as aggressive and attacking. But if the only stimulation in the cat's life is the other cat or the humans in the household, she is going to fulfill her needs with that cat or person. I even had a cat owner tell me that her cat was unsocialized. Here I was thinking the cat was, an undomesticated cat or a feral cat. And through questioning, I found out she thought that the cat was unsocialized and uncivilized because he wouldn't use a litter box. She was trying to tell me that the cat had bad manners. So to provide effective cat behavior counseling, you need to get as much accurate information as possible about what the cat owner describes as the situation. And asking questions is the best way. Another consideration is to make sure the cat owner is being consistent with the description of the behavior problem. Cat owners too who decide when it's a problem and when it's not a problem can confuse their cats. A problem is when the behavior is okay with the cat owner sometimes, but not others. So attention-seeking behavior is a good example. A cat is not going to understand that it's cute when you sit on your computer while you're checking Facebook, but it's suddenly not allowed when you're typing an important work email. So it is important to really get a handle on what's going on when you're talking with cat owners and the words that they use to describe their cats. Now, many cat behaviors will say that if a cat is avoiding a litter box, the first step is to take the cat to the vet and rule out a medical issue. This is because there are many medical issues that will cause a cat not to use the box. The most common is a UTI. If the cat is having trouble urinating, has blood in his urine, or cries while peeing, I would immediately recommend a vet visit. But I'd also like to suggest using your best judgment on this as you were talking to the cat owner. Again, realize the difference between seeking a cat behaviorist and surrender prevention. Remember that this cat owner is very close to surrendering the cat. She's also overwhelmed by the litter box problem. Money may be a concern if the person has already had to toss clothes, a bed, or a couch, or spent a lot of money on cleaning products. Given all of this, if it does not appear that the cat is in distress, and with your comprehensive questions and assessment, you have been able to identify reasons why that cat is not using the box, then it may not make sense to advise the cat owner to spend money for a medical problem that may not exist, especially these days with the long wait times for a vet visit. Behavioral problems in cats are a common cause of the disruption of the cat-human bond, and this does result in cat surrenders, abandonment of the cat, and euthanasia. Interestingly enough, studies on human mental health demonstrate that caring for children with behavioral issues has a negative effect on the quality of life of the parents. This results from that burden of caretaking, trying to balance caretaking with your daily activities. There can be financial hardships. The parents probably have compromised social lives and feelings of anxiety. These studies demonstrate that when one member of the family is ill, it can affect the entire family. Many cat owners consider their cats to be part of the family. So owners of cats with behavioral problems encounter these same challenges and outcomes. It can actually be worse because many people don't understand why the cat owner is in so much distress over a cat. Cat owners will often say to me that a common refrain they hear is, "It's just a cat." I do think it is helpful to think of dealing with the cat's behavior problems through that lens of caretaking. I have learned that the same caretaking theme found in humans caring for other humans is often surprisingly similar to how a cat behavior problem affects the cat owner's day-to-day life. It can be overwhelming for the cat owner. I hear about the effects on day-to-day life all the time. This includes the extra time required for management of the cat behavior problem, participating in the training a cat behaviorist provides, difficulties in managing the cat in the home, the degree of planning and vigilance required to keep their cat and other humans in the household safe, especially in the case of a cat who bites or scratches, the cost of behavioral support for their cat, and how the behavior problem can limit time out of the house for the cat owner. I often hear from cat owners that their lack of time and money prevented them from pursuing recommended treatments. And now, Stacy, it's time for the third poll question.
What do you see as the biggest obstacle to setting up a cat behavior retention program? Time, finding cat behaviorists willing to volunteer, hiring a cat behaviorist, or operations, just pulling this all together? So we have 11% say time is their issue, 28% is finding a cat behaviorist willing to volunteer, 6% hiring a cat behaviorist, and then, you know what, people just seem a little bit overwhelmed putting it all together at 55%.
Yeah, it can be a lot. So thanks, guys, for answering that question. It's good for me to know. One cat owner I was working with stated the challenge of a cat behavior problem as cost. It's expensive to keep going to the vet, and it's expensive to hire behavioral specialists. Another person said to me that a big challenge was time. He said, life is crazy and time is stretched thin already. Very few cat owners I work with have said to me, oh, this has no effect on my day-to-day life. So looking at cat behavior problems through that lens of caretaking illuminates how it can affect the cat owner's relationships. Many of my clients describe how management of the cat's behavior problem puts a strain on the people in the home, how it can affect relationships with those visiting the home, or how it creates social isolation because the cat owner avoided leaving the home or having people visit. Some cat owners have told me that the need to instruct others how to behave around their cat created conflicts in their relationships. For owners of cats with separation anxiety, this affected relationships as it limited how often a cat owner could leave their home to join the social activities. As one cat owner I work with said to me, I really love my cat despite his issues, but he's making it impossible for me to have a social life. Many cat owners feel negative emotions over their cat's behavior problems. Negative emotions include anger, frustration, stress, worry, fear, and sadness. Some of my clients say they are feeling multiple negative emotions. I often hear from clients that they're feeling sad, that the cat owner is sad due to being unable to resolve their cat's behavior problems. Many cat owners feel anger and frustration, describe both feeling angry at the cat and also feeling angry at the situation, as well as feeling disappointment and resentment. This is not what most people expect when they adopt a cat. One client highlighted this emotional complexity as, every time he behaves aggressively, I have a really strong reaction to it, which includes sadness, frustration, and embarrassment. I always have to choose my movements carefully when I'm with him. I have to be constantly vigilant of things that may upset him and cause him to react. Common themes I hear are fear and anxiety. Cat owners worry that the cat might harm others, or that others might inadvertently do something that would exacerbate the behavioral issue. Some cat owners experience fear. For example, they're worried that the cat might bite someone, bite a guest, or bite one of their children. Or they worry that someone will hurt the cat preemptively in a defensive mode if they know that the cat bites. It's common for me to hear that they love their cats and how they feel both positive emotions of love as well as negative emotions. An example of this is love mixed with frustration. So when people call your shelter, they're bringing all of these feelings with them. It's really a lot. For some cat owners, Coming to terms with their cat's behavioral problem and their cat's subsequent needs may make them reevaluate their ability to provide a loving home for the cat. They may start to think they can't do it. They may go through mental gymnastics that involve them reassessing their abilities, wondering if they are even the right home for their cat. They may start to doubt that their cat's quality of life can be sufficiently improved. They think their only options are to surrender or euthanize their cat, which is often a heartbreaking decision. Cat owners in this position often receive, or anticipate receiving, judgment and misunderstanding from others. And this may prevent them from reaching out for support, which in turn leaves them feeling even more isolated. So you can see how having a cat behavior and retention program can save cats' lives. Accessible and free cat behavior support is needed to alleviate the burden on cat owners, as well as their affected cat, so we can prevent surrenders. Getting unclear, non-committal advice is a reported barrier I often hear from distressed cat owners. And this could be everything from internet searches to well-meaning friends to frustrated household members. Many cat behavior problems are costly, so having free resources can save a cat's life. The surrendering of cats to shelters and rescue organizations by their owners is a nationwide problem. In 2021, 42% of the cats who were surrendered were due to behavior problems. The issues owners give for surrendering their cats usually fall into similar behavior categories, and in many cases, these issues are correctable with time, patience, and the right cat behavior help. For the sake of cats' lives and the other cats without homes, it's important that we take every step possible to avoid fixable, behavior-based cat surrenders. Most people who make the decision to surrender a cat are heartbroken and truly want to do what's best for their cat. They just don't know where else to turn. While we do need to respect those owners who have come to the decision that they can no longer care for their cat, there are just as many cat owners who are simply in need of some good advice and support. People who live with and love cats with behavioral problems can be greatly affected in a number of ways, from their relationships to their mental health. To address how these cat owners are affected, a cat behavior and retention program should include a variety of supports. In addition to the cat behavior intervention itself, the most important are empathy and compassion, addressing barriers to support such as time, money, and patience, and having that understanding of and sensitivity toward the challenges the cat owner is facing. And as Stacy mentioned, I've been doing a promotion with my book, and through the end of today, 100% of all proceeds will go to the Community Cats podcast to help support their mission to provide education, information, and dialogue that will create a supportive environment, empowering people to help cats in their community. And I know the Community Cats podcast has a grant program, and the proceeds will be used for that grant program. So I'm really excited to be doing this. And my book is available on Amazon. So through the end of the day today, as I said, 100% of the proceeds will go to the Community Cats podcast program.
Excellent. Well, that's fantastic, fantastic. And again, I'm so appreciative of your vocal cords. Arden's going to have to go put in the chat her special mixture to get your voice back.
I've been using her special mixture all week.
For those of you who don't know, Arden is a bartender or a former bartender in a previous life or something. So she's always concocting a new drink every Wednesday night on Meowie Hour. So I'm sure she can share more about that later. But anyway, so
yes, I will.
And but she was coaching Rachel on Tuesday at Tech Check because Rachel was had no voice on Tuesday.
Zero voice on Tuesday, yes.
So question, one thing you didn't, very good. you didn't really mention too much allergies as being a reason for surrendering. Do you run into that issue a fair amount?
You know, that's probably the least thing that I get. I think a lot of people are willing to work with the allergy issue. In my practice anyway, you know, number one is definitely litter box. So that's why I spent some extra time on that. And I would say number two is scratching, relationship between companion cats. But it's interesting, I think in your poll, like people said 0, I think, for the vocalization. I get that all the time. My cat's meowing at night, my cat's too. That's a very common thing that I do get.
What would you recommend as an adoption organization, you know, from your perspective as a feline behaviorist and as sort of trying to have program mind, what sort of information would you send home with a family, not to overwhelm them with information, but would be critical behavior information to send home with a new adoptive family of an adult cat and of a kitten?
So, you know, for both adult cats and kittens, you know, the main thing I always tell people is you need to start them off in a small room. So many people come home, they open the carrier and they let the cat out, and then they don't see the cat because the cat's totally overwhelmed by all of that territory, and the cat runs and hides. So, and then people will say to me, oh, I feel bad about keeping the cat in the small room. But basically, when the cat runs and hides, she's replicating that smallness on her own. So cats really prefer to be in a small room. And then with that small room, I usually tell people to, if there's a bed in the room or a bureau, you don't want the cat spending all of her time hiding under that bed or the bureau. So we'll usually suggest some luggage or put those Amazon boxes to good use and things like that, and put them underneath the bed so that the cat's not going to spend all day long hiding underneath the bed. But you do want the cat to have some hiding places, but you want the cat to be accessible to you. So cat tunnels, cat cubes, even a box are great for the cat to be able to hide into. But the most important thing is to really start that cat up in a small room. This gives you and the cat an opportunity to bond and for the cat to get used to you first before you start letting the cat get used to the rest of the house. When it's time to get used to the rest of the house, I'll then tell people to, you know, if you live in a really big house, you really want to block off parts of your house and kind of let the cat get used to territory a little bit at a time. So, you know, if you say you live on 2 levels, let the cat get used to 1 level first. If you have, you know, 7 bedrooms, maybe close the doors and let the cat get used to a smaller area first. I think that the most important thing is patience. You know, everybody's very excited when they bring home that little ball of fluff and they want to have the cat interact, you know, as soon as possible, but it's really important to let that cat have the time in her own room first before she explores the rest of the home. And make sure that cat has everything she needs in the room, you know, the litter box, food and water, scratching post toys. When I tell people to keep that cat in a small room, I'm not saying like the cat's bad and the cat needs a timeout or the cat's in jail or something like that. Go in and visit as often as you can. That's really important, but we just want to minimize that territory because too much territory too soon is very overwhelming for a cat.
Great. Last question for you, because we haven't talked about this today too, which is kind of shocking. And I'm wondering, is this a sign? Is this a change? But we really haven't talked about folks that are coming into our adoption facilities and asking about declawing. And I'd be interested to know from the audience out there if they are spending a lot of time talking about declawing, what it is, why it's not a great idea, that kind of thing. Or is this becoming something that we're not dealing with anymore? It just isn't is it not happening that often? So I'd love to know what's out there. But are you running into the declawing conversation or the declawed cat issue?
Yeah, I do think it's interesting. I see less and less of the declawing issue, which is wonderful. I think, you know, you see in the news about different cities and states banning declawing, and you see questions like that. So I think people are starting to realize that it's not a great idea. I think also the word itself sounds very innocuous. I mean, declawing kind of sounds like you're just doing something to the claw. It doesn't sound as bad as it really is. So I think people learning what it really is amputating that limb, gives people a chance to sort of give that a second thought. I do get questions about declawed cats because they do tend to be bitey. You know, they've lost that defense, so they do tend to bite more or swat more or scratch more. So I do have to work with people who their cats, you know, they adopted a declawed cat, but I have found that more people ask me what I think about declawing before they do it. So I've been able to really talk a lot of people out of declawing by educating them about scratching and the right scratching post and having the right setup and so forth. You know, a big problem is so many pet supply stores sell scratching posts that are completely useless from, you know, what your cat needs. So people go out and buy a post. It's like a skinny little post. It's like a foot tall, and the cat doesn't use it. So I think once people are educated about the scratching post and what the scratching post needs to be, that I am seeing definitely people being more willing to listen. But to answer your question, I get much less questions about declawing than I used to, which does seem to be a good thing.
That's great. And Carrie kindly mentioned out in the wings that it is illegal now in New York. And maybe Kristen can dig up the link. I did interview, I think it's Jennifer Conrad, Dr. Jennifer Conrad, who has been leading the campaign to make declawing illegal in the United States. So
yeah, I mean, people hear it. Yeah, people hear it in the news now. You know, oh, declawing is banned in another state or another city. So I think all of that is giving people pause to do more research on what declawing is.
I mean, it's been illegal in the United Kingdom for a long, long time. I mean, I remember back when I'm holding Pam's book in one hand and I'm going, and you know, this is illegal in the United Kingdom. And really, they're like, really? This is something that's illegal somewhere? And, you know, when I was sort of trying to, you know, present the case of, because people would be like, yeah, I just thought you declawed. And I'm like, no, you know, so she said part of that education process. Anyway, Rachel, now you can rest your voice.